Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And we're going to jump back into Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. This time we're looking at the Blood Ward, but demons!
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
While you're down there, you can also find a link to get your own copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. So last time we had done Blood War Part 1. It was basically the gist of the Blood War as well as the archdevils and their layers of hell. Now we're going to make a little bit of a turn and go off into a different path, and that is Princes of the Abyss.
So we're going to talk about demons, their worlds, their influences, and some of the particulars there.
So I found the devil section far more interesting. Now, like overall, like when you got into like the individual demons and devils, devil section far more interesting. But the very beginning part of this section is fabulous. This is adventure ideas. This is encounter ideas. This is a campaign idea. This could be a campaign setting.
This is something that I wish I had years ago to, because my campaign is all based on a demon lord. So had I had some of this stuff, I could have changed and altered my game using what's here. And there's still some stuff that I can do, but I was a little like, all right, well, what's going to happen here? So the first thing you get is the Scourge of Worlds. You must understand that my ambitions do not stop here in Drachen, or even in the doorsteps of Greyhawk, or the immediate jungles beyond. Earth is just my first of many worlds that will fall. Aya's the old.
So we get these cool headings for this particular section, and that's initial infection, a growing menace, a stain on reality, apocalypse now.
So all of this section is about what happens when demons enter into your world, the prime material plane, and depending upon how long they stay, they begin to change and shape reality around them. And we're not talking like, oh, I summoned an imp and blah, 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 blah. We're talking about demons of significant power.
Well, yes and no, right? Because basically there's several factors. One is how long, how many, what kind.
Right.
Like, yes, a imp by itself probably not going to affect much of anything. More powerful demons over time will.
Right.
Enough imps over time will as well. I gather from this, or at least I think you could kind of speculate. And actually, we wouldn't use an imp anyway. We'd use a quasit.
Sorry, my apologies.
Get them, nerds. Get them. But then if you actually have a actual demon lord or a demon prince, that completely changes everything.
So the longer these things are around and the more of them, eventually a portal is going to happen. Once a portal is there, it becomes more stable over time, and eventually a demon lord is going to be attracted by it. Demon lord comes through, and it then begins to sow itself into the domain, and you can make permanent landscape changes, and it could literally pull a section of the prime into the hells itself, the abyss, I should say, into the abyss itself, and it exists as that. Just because of their presence. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and not only that though, then multiple portals could also open, and that's the problem. Like the more portals there are, the more demons flow through, the more the influence begins to spread. And the other problem is with the more powerful demons, not even necessarily a demon lord, but a demon powerful enough to sway and occur the rest of the demons under them and organize them and keep them. Because if you have a bunch of lesser demons, they'll kind of disperse and go about and kill each other and just be the chaotic beings they are. But with a powerful presence behind them, it unifies them and it compounds this problem. It makes it much worse. Not only that, you get to a certain point with the portals is, even if you get rid of all of the demons, including the demon lord, the portal is still there. It may even go dormant, but it can also be awakened later.
Right. So, the visitation of a demon lord to the material plane is a cataclysmic event. The Lord's presence overwhelms the minds of other beings to keep them from resisting, and the Lord's power enables it to command the other demons already present in the world. They form a horrid army that sets about stripping the world of life and clearing the path for the Lord's dominance. Like, ah! So, at this point, the besieged world's only hope for survival is the expulsion of the demon lord.
Yeah, like I mean, like this is literally like it's about a page worth of material, right? All said, and but that it's very significant to how that could affect what's going on in your game, what we can do with it. So then the next header is Chaos Incarnate, and that basically just goes on to say, well, one, there's like scholars and mages and arcanists that try and quantify and qualify demons, and basically what that section goes on to say is it's pointless because though there are some that are very similar, the truth of the matter is demons are different. The longer they live, the more they change, and the abyss itself is infinite, so it can just spawn new demons at any time. So what you think you know about demons and the type could be completely wrong because it changes.
So the next header is the unknowable abyss. It's as a puzzle to those who study demons, an attraction for those who seek power. It isn't purely chaotic as limbo, nor as pliable, yet the demon lords can shape its essence by their subconscious will. We get the ever-changing layers, which, as Dave says, this is all about, change and reshaping. So, even if you've been there before, that might not mean anything because at any moment, the entire reality could twist and bend, and it's now something else.
Not only that, too, the abyss is kind of set up in layers, but it doesn't really work that way. Like, they kind of quantify it that way, but it's not like there's any particular order, and there's all kinds of random portals all over the abyss, and they don't necessarily take you to the same place every time. Now, there's rituals and stuff that you can enact and kind of, bend it to your will, but it's going to take more knowledge than most people have. And again, it's the abyss, so things tend to be quite random.
So if you don't have that knowledge before you go in, you might not ever get out. So the next section is evil inchoate. I'm not familiar with that word. I at a glance, I just thought it said evil incarnate.
I will be the last creature when I'm done. The cosmos will then be perfect, free of braying abominations that are all living things, Orcus. And so basically from here it kind of goes into a section where one cosmos, infinite visions. And what that means is all demons actually want the same thing. They want one cosmos under their perfect vision. But because demons are kind of infinite and there's so many of them, they all have it. And it's funny too because it goes on to speak about, well, demons, they're also kind of realistic. So like if you're a Quasit, the ideal cosmos for you is going to be much smaller than if you're Orcus, right? Who like all the multiverse will be his at some point. We get this cool sidebar, demonic amulets, blessing and curse.
So the way this works is demon lords have the ability to create an amulet, and it's essentially like a phylactery. They store a portion of their soul in it. Problem is, if anybody has one of these amulets, they have complete control of the demon lord. God forbid a devil gets their hand on the demon lord's amulet. It's going to go all kinds of crazy bonkers. So,
well, it could be the end of the blood war.
Right.
The stalemate could come to an end.
So, they don't even want to give them to trusted lieutenants and any of that kind of stuff. They are more inclined to hide them away somewhere so that even if they're killed in the abyss, the amulet will activate and they can essentially come back to life.
So now we get into lords and their thralls, which is basically, this is like the specific demon lords that's going to talk about. And then it goes into a little bit, you get like a paragraph on the demon lord themselves, and then you get a little bit of information about their cults and cultists. We also get another sidebar, which is Loth extends her web. And this is basically, we don't get an entry in here for Loth. We just get this little sidebar because Loth is technically a deity now. But it basically goes to say how Loth wants to ultimately be able to try and send demon lords out away from the abyss, so that while they're away wreaking havoc, she can try and claim their territories and grow her own power and base of and earn strength. And she's a chaotic being, so sowing chaos throughout the multiverse is kind of her bag anyway.
So there's a handful of sections where they have these little scrawled notes, and one says, I studied Demogorgon's symbol. I thought that by looking at it through a mirror, I might avoid its effects. If anything, viewing its reflection made its effect more potent and more subtle. It was Rary who saved me, and I thought that he had been spared for the symbol's effect. I don't have many regrets, but understanding that symbol is one of my greatest. So, like, the symbol of Demogorgon, if you study it, you can literally go mad.
Yeah. So, real quick, we've got Baphomet, we've got Demogorgon, we've got Fraz Herbaloo, Gratz,
Jubilex, Orcus, Yenagu, Zuktmoy, and those are the demon lords that are here. And we actually got stats for those in Volos.
No, we didn't. We got them in Mordenkainen's, but out of the Abyss as well.
Out of the Abyss, that's what I meant to say.
Yes, but then they get reprinted here as well. And so, like, with each of these, it kind of goes on to say, who the demon lord is. You're going to get, like I said, about a paragraph on each one of the demon lords, but then you're going to get more in the back of the book as well. It's not as extensive on the demon lords as it is on the devils and the layers of hell, but it kind of makes sense because the Abyss in its nature is so chaotic and ever changing. Like, what one of the things they go on to say earlier is, by the time things have been recorded and documented, that information is already obsolete. So that's one of the reasons they don't bother. There's like a couple things that are worth pointing out. Like Demogorgon, one of the things they say about him is, if he were ever to accomplish his goal, the rumor is that then the two heads would turn on each other, destroying Demogorgon, leaving nothing but a void, once where the multiverse was.
So he wants everything to be gone. Orcus wants everything to be in the perfect state of undeath, so that they don't have, free will and any of that kind of stuff.
Gratz is interesting in the sense that they speculate that he was possibly once an archdevil. And just like, we said, hey, if the archdevils ever get a hold of one of those demon amulets, that could be catastrophic and mean the end of the Blood War. Well, they also go on to say, well, if another archdevil ever decides, like Gratz may have, that he no longer wants to be contained by rules and wants to make up the rules as he goes, that could also be the end of a Blood War, with the emergence, one, of losing an archdevil, and two, the emergence of a new demon lord.
So Gratz just wants pleasure. Fraz Herbaloo is the master weaver of lies and an illusionist. Orcus, I already said, is about undead. Jubilex is an alien creature said to be responsible for spawning the oozes found throughout the world. Yenagu is the one who sired the gnolls.
And then Zekmoy is basically fungus is her domain. Her and Jubilex are kind of similar. They fit these like really weird niches. Jubilex is one of the things they say about him. Anywhere a slime or ooze is, he can perceive through them. So that would actually give him access to a lot of information. But like his goal is to cover the multiverse in ooze and slime. So basically Nickelodeon from the 80s. I don't know. And Zuktmoy wants to turn everything into one living organism, absorbing everything into bacteria, mold, fungus type creature, but everywhere. So both with Jubilex and Zuktmoy, the idea is that their cultists and their followers believe that by helping bring this about, they'll somehow be spared.
Which is not true.
Yeah, they're demons for the love of all that is holy.
So then we go into the demonic boons, and this is if you're going to have cultists or monsters that are going to follow these demon lords to any serious degree, this is what you would do to offer them new powers, new abilities. And just like with the devils, there's ability score adjustments, signature spells, and specific powers that you can grant them. And who amongst them would wind up getting it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, all the same demon lords that we just mentioned. It's a way to flavor your cultists and your monsters a little bit more, make things more interesting.
Now, unlike the devils, you don't get suggested, things. It's not like, oh, pirate captains and cultists and fanatics. Here, it's just like, give it to whoever you want.
Yeah. Well, each section has a piece on cultists, so that kind of defines it a little bit, but not as specifically as devils, the archdevils did, like you said, because where that literally called out this NPC type, this monster type,
right.
Where this, this is a little more vague and open ended. Also, we get a section for other demons where you get Balor, Garistro, Marilith, and Nalefeshi.
Nalefeshni.
So again, these are just other demons that are powerful but aren't actually demon lords or princes. So so you can add them, and we've seen them in throughout different books and things, and also even talking to the earlier section about like the incursions and stuff. Like obviously a Balor isn't going to have the same effect as Demigorgon, but it's still a really powerful demon, and it is also powerful enough to bring other of its kind under its heel fairly easily. So it's still a really big deal. So cults will definitely spring up around those people as well.
And then you get to take a basic monster stat and give it a name and make it be its own thing. And that's your villain for the campaign. Maybe you're not looking for a level 20 plus game. Maybe you're looking for only a level 15, and therefore a Balor is absolutely a good campaign ender for you.
Yeah, well, the other thing that could be kind of fun and interesting about that is, like, that could be game changing, right? What if the players are able to defeat it in the end, but it achieves its goal? Like, that could be a new demon lord in your campaign, unique to your campaign world, based off of a Balor or a Marilith. And the other thing that it kind of goes to speak to, like, you can tweak and change these monsters, even before your players get to them, because it makes sense, because that's the nature of the abyss.
Absolutely.
Next, we get into demonic cambions, and this is basically when demon lords will sometimes spawn with other creatures. Well, if they live and survive their parentage, then the result is going to be a cambion. And some demon lords are kind of like all about this. Gratz is all about reproducing and creating, and like if you dig even deeper into the D&D mythology, he's created races and stuff.
Well, Gratz is all about the his pleasure, so I would imagine that he's got loads of cambions running around.
Right. So and it tells you how to make these special according to whichever demon lord you're going to tie them to. Then we get into some demon customization tables.
Yeah, so you've got demon personality traits, demon ideals. I thought it was hysterical that they put the demon bonds in there, and it's like there's no choice. 1 through 6, you get I am a perfect production of creation, destined to one day shape the cosmos to my whims. Everything I do verifies my destiny. That's it. One choice. You're a demon. This is what you think. End of story.
And then we get into demon flaws, of course. And then we also have unusual demon features.
So earlier in the section, they talked about that, you might have a Chasme that, belches flies, or you might have this other thing that winds up getting this extra ability. And that gives you, 20 different things that exist possibly that you could use to alter your demon. So that whole thing with belches flies, once per day, the demon can use an action to belch enough flies to create an effect as though it had cast fog cloud. So it's like, this is cool. It just releases a swarm of flies from its mouth. Wow, that's badass. Doesn't really make it that much more powerful. It's not going to change its challenge rating at all. But you've got a new ability that you can use once to make it stand out.
And not all of these things are actually beneficial to the demons.
No, like the tiny wings. So, like, if the demon has a fly speed, its fly speed is reduced to become 10. So, like, I used to be badass, but I've got tiny wings. Wah, wah.
But if you didn't have wings before, you get a fly speed. Bleeds Wasps is a fun one. The first time in each combat the demon is reduced to half of its hit points or less, a swarm of insect wasps forms around it. The swarm considers creatures other than the demon to be its enemies. So, just just what it says. It bleeds wasp. That's creepy, right? And it'd be fun to kind of illustrate why you're playing. You know, as the combat's progressing. Oh, you hit it. Some flying insects come out of the wound. You know, maybe describe what they are. Maybe you won't. But once it hits half, then there's enough of them to be angry at you.
What's amusing is it says, you know, anything that's not that demon is its enemy. So therefore, like, you could have like a lot of things come out and have it take out the quasits that are around. Things that, you know, oh, it's just traversing with the demon, and
anything in its path is fair game. Snake hair creatures that grapple the demon are grappled by it or are poisoned until the grapple ends.
Yeah, that was a nasty one.
So that one's kind of fun and cool. It's a different effect.
The interesting one that I saw was here. You know, vestigial demon. A miniature vestigial twin of the demon grows from its body. The demon can't be blind and deafened or stunned.
Yeah, so it's got a little mini me attached to it. It's kind of gross. And this very much reminds me of actually first edition and second edition, where in the back of the DM's guide they actually had a bunch of tables. Well, far more than this, for creating like unique demons, and it was so as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's from the olden days.
The olden days. So the last page that we get into is fiendish cults. And it gives you charts for what is the cult goals, what is the cult resources, cult organization, and cult hardships. You can roll randomly. You can pick, or you can use these as guidelines that if you want to use a cult in your game, you know, these are things that you could be or should be doing. And I felt vindicated that reading through it, I'm like, yeah. My cult's doing that. Yep, my cult's doing that. I'm doing a good job here. It's like, you know,
I'm checking off all these lists.
So I felt that, you know, if you know, I look through what I've done in my game, whether the players uncovered it or not, these things are happening, and therefore I'm doing my demons proud.
Good job, Ted. Good job. So I mean, we this section is roughly like 10 pages, and we get like 6-7 pieces of art. They're all really good. It's a decent section. You know, I didn't find it as interesting as the devil section, but that first part was great. I mean, that one page of information is something that could really enhance your game. The other stuff are little things that, while they're not like super interesting read, they're definitely going to add to your game if you're using a lot of demons. So it's a good section all in all.
For me, I guess because I am running a game that involves heavily with a demon, I was much more interested in the demon section. So for me, I like the second half better.
Yeah, you know, I've always been drawn to devils a bit more anyway. I think I'm lawful by nature. I think I might be a paladin of conquest. I'm not sure.
So the question is, what do you guys think of Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes? What do you think of the demons? Which section's better, the devils, the demons? You let us know down in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
While you're heading down to the comments, you can also look in the description for the link to get your own copy of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.